Hello and welcome back to League Talk, the podcast all about coaching, management, performance and all things League of Legends. Today we have a very interesting episode. We have a little review and chat about this book by Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles. This is called Gung Ho, and the book is all to do with motivation, motivating a workforce and helping the people around you. In essence, the book tells a story about a really lackluster power plant. I believe it's in America, called Walton Works, which is failing to meet the targets set and has the threat of being shut down, and in the process of the shutdown causing hundreds and hundreds to lose jobs. So the newly appointed manager therefore had to mobilise and motivate their workers to create a power plant that starts to generate money and profit. And the tactic they used was very, very interesting. So in essence, they had three cornerstones to success alongside a hugely knowledgeable and wise advisor within the Walton Works. His name was Andy. Now, the interesting thing about this was it tells a story. It's not just a non-fiction sort of bish bash bosh, this is how you motivate people. There's a story that goes along with it. So it was a really interesting narrative alongside it. And I think this can be utilised and made to fit both solo queue motivation, team motivation for players, managers, coaches, staff, and just anyone that is struggling with motivation and doing what they want to and achieving what they want to. So the story went along the way that these two people were watching different animals. So the first one was a squirrel, the second one was a beaver, and the third one was a goose. And they were looking at the way that these animals live and coexist together and pulling things from it. So the first really important cornerstone was called the spirit of the squirrel. Now, what this refers to is creating worthwhile work. So this is split into three parts, and those three parts are knowing that we make the world a better place. So this is also really important about framing and mindset, because if your mindset isn't good and you're not able to frame the things that you're doing in the right direction, you're going to be in trouble. So perceiving that and framing that is really important. The idea is that understanding how the work we do helps others and yourself. So that's a really important distinction. So for those playing solo queue, this could be understanding that this makes you a better player, it makes you a better person. If you're acting properly, you're acting well, and you're in service of your values, then this is going to make you a better person, it's going to make you a better player, and it's going to make you happier. For those in a team, or that could be staff or players, making your teammates and players better is going to be the way that you make your work worthwhile. You're making 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, depending on the team, 7, 8, 9, 10 in some circumstances, better humans, better players in the process. So understanding that what you're doing is worthwhile is really important to motivation, and the reason being is because it results in self-esteem. If your self-esteem is higher, you're going to motivate yourself to be a better person every day. So the second point of this, the spirit of the squirrel, is everyone working towards a shared goal. Now, the work becomes worthwhile when you're motivated towards a target. You're looking to achieve something. And if that's a single person in solo queue working towards a goal of being better, or moving towards a SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-based, alongside the short-term, medium-term and long-term provisos, you know, if you've created a worthwhile goal of something along the lines of getting to gold 2 in the next 2 weeks by playing Rakan and Morgana, that sort of smart goal is going to make you a better player. And the same goes for a team. However, it means that each of the players have to buy into this goal and support each other in the achievement of that. This pushes you to be better and motivates in the process. The difficult thing is, how do we get all of the players to buy into these goals? And that brings you on to the third point of the squirrel. The spirit of the squirrel is that your values guide your plans, decisions, and values. And ideals, rather than values. So if your values guide these three things, keeping to one's personal values and team values is really important. Making sure that your mindset is the right place and focusing on improvement is a good example when looking at solo queue. If your values are to be a better player and you're constantly looking to improve, that's a value you hold dear to you, then that's something you need to keep in mind that guides your plans and decisions along the process. So making sure that you're not, for example, doing things like trolling or playing Teemo support along those lines, making sure that your value of improvement is with you all the time. And for teams, that's ensuring that each personal value and each player is accounted for, and the team creates core values such as playing aggressively, communicating regardless of the situation, and making sure that your communication is on point. These are just some examples. Obviously, it's going to be different for each and every team. So the next thing that they talk about is the way of the beaver. And this is all to do with control. and being in control. And that comes from the staff standpoint if you're in a team. It comes from your standpoint if you're playing in solo queue. And understanding your roles is the first part of this. So if this is solo queue, you'll be motivated by achievement and pushing yourself as to what you need to do each game. And that is your role. If you play mid and you're playing a control mage, making sure that you're able to pump out damage per minute. If it's Orianna, for example, making sure that your damage per minute is high, your CS is on point, and you know that your role is to try and hit that shockwave in a team fight. And teams have to understand what each player's role is. So rather than just focusing on yourself, each player has to know exactly what they have to do. This could be the jungler shot calling. It could be the support focusing on engaging. It could be playing strong side top, for example, or weak side top, and just knowing that your role is to play weak side and not die. It could also be damage per minute if that's something that you think is important as a player. Making sure that your damage per minute is up and high. And that's your role, to make sure damage per minute is high. And that's often the case for AD carries. The next part of the way of the beaver, however, is thoughts, feelings need to be acted upon. Thoughts, feelings and needs must be acted upon, So supporting each other is key in a team environment, and each person must understand that the fact that they have others around them and those people are important, and their feelings must be resolved. You can't just let feelings and thoughts and processes within one's brain to just linger, because that's really important that that's not the case. For you in solo queue, acting upon the things that you deem important is key alongside that. Each of these, I know this is rather fast, but each of these are very, very important, and there's a lot of information. So if you need to go back and listen to it again, don't be afraid to do so. And then the final part, being in control, the way of the beaver, is challenging yourself. You know, challenge and improvement is mostly found in discomfort and in things that you haven't done before and things that you don't know how to do. So making sure that you're challenging yourself by pushing for improvement, trying new things and not resting on your laurels is really, really key as to being in control of the people, the environment and the goals around you. Making sure that improvement is happening and is always happening is key to motivation. You know, a lot of people have improvement markers such as LP, which is a rubbish improvement marker, by the way. LP does not reflect at all how you are as a player or as a person, so keeping that in mind is really important too. So those are the 3 points of the way of the beaver, just being in control and focusing on those goals and the actions that you're putting into place. Finally, we have the gift of the goose. And this is about cheering each other on, okay? So cheering yourself on and the others and the people around you is really, really important. The first part of that is congratulating yourself and others. So we've spoken in length about something called positive self-talk on this podcast, and it is so important. And therefore, positively talking to yourself and congratulating yourself is key. You know, in solo queue, you're not going to get it from outside people. Your mum's not going to walk in through the door and congratulate you. It's important, therefore, that you understand how to do positive self-talk and, you know, phrasing the language you use in the right way. The same goes for those in teams. When your teammates are doing well or when you do well, making sure that they know that that is the case. And those affirmations are both truthful and fair. And that's really, really important with positive self-talk as well. If you're just talking to yourself in a nonsensical way, it's not going to be as effective as saying things truthfully and fairly. So those two things are really important for those affirmations and those congratulations. And then the second point that I think is one of the most interesting takes from this book is linked to traditional sports. And you know that's going to hit a nerve with me if you've listened to this podcast for a long time. In traditional sports, do you only cheer the when your team score or when they win? No. That's not the case. If you are a fan of football or soccer, you cheer the progress. You cheer the passes towards the end, which is the end goal. You cheer the passes along for the free throw in basketball. You cheer the progress of a really good rally in tennis for the beautiful backhand cross court that's put down as the finishing point or the finishing shot. And so, of course, you don't just cheer the end product. You cheer the progress. You cheer the passes towards the end. You cheer the shots leading up to the finish. Cheer when behaviour goes well throughout the process. Throughout learning, throughout achieving, there are markers and things that happen that are key and need to be cheered on, need to be enthusiastically affirmed in a truthful and fair way. So for me, these are the 3 main points that are gathered from this book, and this is how they believe you create a Gung Ho environment, which just means a working, motivated team. And that, of course, makes you a working, motivated person. So if you're a solo queue listener and you just want to get better at the game, thinking about these things, creating worthwhile work, being in control and cheering yourself on are the 3 key cornerstones to being gung-ho and motivated. Now, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. We haven't had very many guests on. There is a reason for that. I'm working absolutely solid chock-a-block at the moment, and of course working with the team that I have been the performance coach of now for a while. We're loading up into the really important part of the season, the start of the season. So as you know, my priorities change and the things that I have to do change as well. We will be getting more people on to talk about certain things, so bear with it. I'm trying to create worthwhile content, stuff that's going to help you individually. We've spoken about habits, we've spoken today about motivation and how to stay motivated. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you have, I've had a couple of really interesting questions from people. People are getting in contact, which is amazing. That feels great. So if you do want to get in contact, if you're watching on YouTube, it's up here. It's Twitter at leaguE Talk Show and Instagram at league_talk. So definitely get in contact with me there. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and don't forget to leave a review. That could be in the comments, that could be in my Twitter DMs, it could be on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Hit me up with a review. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next one.